Please welcome to the stage Executive Director of Business and Program Development at the Milken Institute, Sarah Sandler.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome everybody. I hope the last few days have been productive, informative, and engaging. Around the world, we're seeing evidence of divides. Many of the conversations you're hearing at the Global Conference are looking at the world's most pressing challenges. But our ask of you is to focus on the opportunities and solutions as we look to achieve our theme of shaping a shared future. The Milken Institute builds communities across sectors, both private and public, to address critical issues in finance, health, and philanthropy. Today, we're in for a lighter discussion on one of the most unifying pastimes of all, sports. Nothing brings people together more than rooting for their team. But what's just as important as celebrating a win is the impact and philanthropic investment teams bring to their communities. I'm sure we'll hear more about that today from two legends who cross sports and finance. Led by a discussion with Jim Gray, we are going to hear from Earvin Magic Johnson, Chairman and CEO of Magic Johnson Enterprises, and Mark Walter, Founder and CEO of TWG Global and Guggenheim Partners. Please join me in welcoming them.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Got to start off by thanking Mike Milken for the 27th time putting this conference together, this global conference. And he is just a magnificent human being and a total genius, and we're all lucky to be in his presence, and I just want to thank him. And Mr. Walter, we'll get to you in just a moment. Magic, I don't think I've ever asked this question, and I've done 25, 30,000 interviews. What's it like to be you?
Well, it's a blessing, right? To come from humble beginnings. And I have 6 sisters, 3 brothers. My father worked for General Motors for 30 years and won an award for never being late, never missing a day. And he built me like him. And so I think because of his work ethic is translated to me, and I'm a tireless worker. I love to run my business, but also when I was playing basketball, my main thing was to outsmart my opponent and outwork him. So, but being me, I'm just a guy who's been blessed. I've been, part of my secret sauce was to align myself with great partners like Mark Walters, and to also allow great men like him to mentor me and teach me business. Dr. Jerry Buss, the late owner of the Lakers, I got to give him the first credit for really allowing me to understand business. He allowed me to look at the Laker books. At that time, a player befriending an owner was unheard of. And so him and I became great friends, besides him being my boss. But he taught me business, and I told him after my career I wanted to become a businessman. And he said, okay, well, let me prepare you, let me get you ready. And then I ran into one of our partners, Peter Gruber, and we did the first deal. We did the movie theater deal in the inner cities of America when he was running Sony. And that really just jump-started my business career. And so now Peter and I are still partners with the Dodgers and 4 other businesses. So I think picking the right partners has been the key, but also making a difference in the communities that we built these businesses in too. Because I believe, like Mark, we can do good and do well at the same time. And so it's been a blessing.
When did you see it in your career and start to make that transformation? I think it was pretty early. You were starting to line up meetings with Marvin Davises of the world and so forth in town when you were still in the prime of your career. And now you went from being an icon on the court, even while you were playing, to this brilliant, magnificent career. You've been the blueprint for athletes.
Thank you.
And when did that switch go off?
Well, let's first start with this. I had to kick ass on that court first. So let's not ever forget that, you know, because that's where everything started, was on the basketball court. And because we went to the finals 9 times in 12 years, we won 5 NBA championships, that platform allowed me then to, again, start my business life. So every summer I was meeting with people that Dr. Buss would line up, Michael Ovitz and different people like that who gave me great advice and who took me up under their wing to teach me business. And you said it, Marvin Davis, I went to go see him. And then I went to Dr. Buss, and I did something probably athletes very rarely do, is I asked him to give me all the CEO and president's phone numbers that are season ticket holders of the Lakers. And he said, well, why you want their number? I said, I want to cold call them and ask them to go to lunch with me so I can pick their brain to find out what made them successful. And sure enough, he gave me the phone numbers. I called 50 of them. How many you think said no?
Maybe a Pistons fan, maybe a Celtics fan.
Exactly. Well, they all said yes, and I wanted to know business, and so you have to take your ego out of it because we have big egos as athletes, and that's what makes us successful. So I had to take my ego out of it and admit to myself I didn't know business. But these men and women could help me understand business and how to start a business. And so picking their brain was fabulous for me. And then I started going to all these different breakfasts, luncheons, and dinners that I got invited to that all these great men and women, CEOs and presidents were having. And they told me, Michael always said, get there early, because that's when you can network. All the rich people get there early and they leave early. So I said, okay, cool, I got it. So I got there early when the doors opened, and I picked their brain and met some fabulous people who, again, became my partners. And here we are. So I love being the blueprint for athletes and entertainers, but, you know, again, the key is you got to be disciplined, you got to apply yourself, you got to get with people like this in this audience who have been great businessmen and women for many years, and hopefully that you can partner with them and learn from them as they're learning from you, and that's what I've been doing.
So Mark, you're trying to get the Dodgers, and you have the capital and you have the money, but you're in a bidding contest. What made you decide, or how did you decide, if I get magic, I'll get the Dodgers?
I still remember that day. I was thinking about it while Earvin was talking, that we were going to go meet and talk about whether he'd join our group or what he was thinking about doing. And in the context of buying a sports team, there are a lot of issues you should talk through. So I don't know if you remember, but it was a pretty long meeting. And we were going through stuff that, you know, like is really more business or legal, not really sports. And near the end, you know, Earvin and I had never met before.
Right.
So at the end, Earvin says, I just have a couple more questions. One of them always says, are you competitive and do you want to win? And, you know, buying something for billions of dollars has to be a business transaction. It's not responsible not to be. But if you're also going to be honest, you know, I told him, you know, I hate losing. I just can't stand it. And I think that might have been what pushed it right over.
Yeah, it did. Because I had interviewed 5 billionaires.
Tell us how that interview goes. Like, what do you say? Excuse me, sir.
I grew up very poor, and here I am sitting here interviewing 5 billionaires. Isn't that the coolest thing?
And what are you looking for? Well, I mean, what replies? What kind of body language?
Well, we knew all of them had to check.
Yep.
Okay.
That's why they're billionaires.
I think the main thing for me was a person who also wanted to uplift the community. And Mark and I got along so well on, we want to win, but we also want to do good and do some great things in the community. And you know what? We've done just that. And then also, too, I wanted somebody I could hang out with. So
You need friends?
Mark is, no, because
Go out in this lobby. There are about 4,000 people mobbing you.
all these rich people in here decide who they want to be married to. Remember that. When you're in a partnership, you're married to somebody. So I have been through some great partnerships and some bad ones too. And so when you spend that much time together, you want to like somebody. And Mark and I hit it off very well. And we're good friends today. And so that's what I'm talking about.
You know, it's also remarkable, just from an outsider, you brought in Billie Jean King, and she missed all of the big money, and what an icon, and, you know, broke down so many doors and so many ceilings, and then you brought her in. What was it that you saw in both of these guys, these athletes, that you decided to pick them? Because, like you said, it's a marriage, so you can be picked, but you also have to be reciprocal.
Yeah, but picking Billie Jean and Earvin is, that's the easy part of life. I mean, those are people that stand out in any crowd, in any place, in any setting. Billie and I were having a conversation. We'd done some charity work together, and she just mentioned something like, buying into the Dodgers or something, some off the cuff kind of remark, and I'm like, Billie, you can be partners with us in everything. And so we started talking. So Billie now is partners with us in every business we own, and in
That's fantastic.
And Earvin and I are partners in a lot of stuff. One other little story of that same day, because after the competitive thing, we started talking. I said something like, well, what can I really do for you? Like, how can I really help you? What would it be for me to be a good partner for you? And he's accomplished so much. He says, I want to be more successful in business than I was at basketball. And I'm like, oh shit, you got 5 championships.
And how would you say you're doing in that?
Oh, very good.
Are you there? Are you better in business than you were in basketball?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
In terms of business, well, it depends on how you look at it, right? But yes, because the impact that I've been able to have is long lasting. There will always be great basketball players doing great things. And so, but what I wanted to do in business has surpassed what I did on the basketball court. But again, you got people like Mark saying, hey, I want to partner with you. And Mark and I, he just told you, we own several other businesses. So it's amazing that I look at my business career and say, wow, basketball, did I really play the game, because of the impact that we've had in business.
So go ahead, Mark.
I think something that should be noted in this too, and I'm not trying to take away anything from any of the other guys who are, billionaire basketball players. But, Earvin didn't make the same money they made. So whatever starting point Earvin started with, it was a different number. And now Earvin is a very wealthy man, and together and with a lot of drive from him, I did a study, and I had 2 research projects. One was, can you live forever? And the second was, can you take it with you? And they both came back, you can't live forever and you can't take it with you. So Earvin and I said, well, now we have to have impact, right? So, just for example, we just on Thursday night committed $50 million to the Dodger Foundation and $100 if the Dodgers go to the World Series.
Yeah.
I want to ask you both about along those lines. Let's start with you, Magic. How have you managed to take your life from success to significance? To be an inspiration and a motivation, to still be beloved, in a public life where public life's impossible. Yet, you've shown people the way with healthcare. This may be the wrong term, but I was there in the Forum Club that day with Commissioner Stern when you announced you were HIV positive. and we all thought it was a death sentence.
Right.
And we all were in tears
Right.
because we loved you and we loved what you did for the game, and it was heartbreaking. And now you, wrong term, beat HIV, if there is such a thing as that. And all of this, with your charisma, has just totally taken the country by storm. They're still enamored with you, however long this has been, since 1979, whatever that adds up to.
Yeah.
How did you manage to go from a successful guy to a significant guy and changing the direction of so many different aspects of life?
Well, when I announced HIV 32 years ago, right? And I think my thought was just like your thought process. But I said, if they have the meds, and we found out they did have the meds coming down the pipeline, and the doctors told me, Dr. Holt said, you're going to be here a long time because there's some great drugs coming down the pipeline. But you have to have a positive attitude and do the things you need to do to be here a long time. So I was working out still. I was doing all the things that I had to do to be here. But the thing that changed everything around the world was when Commissioner David Stern allowed me to play in the All-Star game. And that day showed so many millions of people living with something or HIV that you could still have a healthy and good life. I played in that game. I was successful in that game. And that's what changed everything. I became the face of HIV and AIDS around the world. And so him and I together changed so many people's mindset about a person living with HIV. And before you had to whisper, you had to go in a corner and talk about it. Now you can talk openly about it. At that time, you could talk openly about it after that game. So it wasn't just me. I had to give a lot of credit to the late Commissioner David Stern, but then also to those players too, who played with me and also against me in that game. And then the next step is when the Dream Team came, right behind that. The greatest team ever assembled on a basketball court when it comes to basketball. And I got a chance to play with Michael Jordan, oh my goodness, and Larry Bird. That was on my bucket list. So can you imagine coming down, Jim, I'm coming down, and I'm looking in the corner to Larry Bird, and he's over there shooting a three-pointer. Ooh, man!
That was some Barcelona.
Oh, man, after
camp.
All those hard battles against him, right?
Coach Daly.
Yeah. And then here come Michael down. Michael was unbelievable. And still to me, the greatest player that's ever played. When he took off, I gave him a no-look behind-the-head pass, and he took off almost from the free throw line, the tongue out. Man, I thought I died and went to heaven. Man. He dunked that ball, and we both looked at each other, and I'm playing on the same team as this dude, And so we changed basketball. The reason so many international players are in the NBA today is because of that team. And so, again, I was able to show people that you could play competitive sports living with HIV. And so that's what happened. And so for me, it was a blessing. I will always be humble. I will always try to give back because that's how I was brought up by my parents. I will always try to make a difference, and that's why Mark and I connect so well. We bus in 10,000 kids every season to watch the Dodgers play for free, inner city kids that can't afford to go to a Dodger game. And I mean, education, we build fields in the poorest neighborhoods where kids can play baseball. This is all because of Mark's leadership, and I can keep going. We do so many things to impact the community here in Los Angeles, but we do things around the world and to impact people as well. And again, I will always be about that because somebody blessed me with an opportunity. All those mentors who helped me get here, now my job is to help others to achieve their goals and dreams because somebody helped me achieve mine.
You're getting welled up.
Oh.
I better ask Mark a question.
Well,
I better ask Mark a question here.
Don't get me started. I'm gonna start crying.
That's what I said. Mark, so owning the Dodgers, an iconic franchise, it comes with a tremendous amount of responsibility because of the lineage. We go through Jackie Robinson and we take it up to modern day. Fernando Valenzuela, obviously a huge Mexican Hispanic following. And the community is intertwined with this since the team moved from Brooklyn. And that spreads. This is a huge area, Southern California. And, you know, it's a national identity, the Dodgers. So when you're entrusted with that, and then you have another icon with you, how do you uphold that trust on a daily basis?
I think you're 100% right, that we're the lucky ones, right? You know, people say, oh, you own the Dodgers. Well, really, in some ways, you're just a custodian. And the Dodgers will be around and hopefully be iconic, you know, long after everybody's forgotten me. But, you know, Peter Guber, who's partners with us, when we first got started, said something that, I don't know if people remember, the Dodgers weren't doing super well when we first took over. So we had, you know, a challenge to try to turn things around and get people back to the park. And Peter said, all you got to do, Mark, is shoot at their hearts. Forget the pocketbook, just shoot at the hearts. And we've tried to do that and tried to be good citizens in town and be demanding. You know, Earvin's a competitive guy, and I think I am too. And, you know, we're not satisfied. Frankly, I don't know if you remember when Ohtani was accepting coming to play for us. We didn't really know for sure we were going to get him. I mean, it felt like it was definitely a coin flip. And at the signing, he said something that we told him, that despite the fact we'd actually the winningest team in baseball for the last 10 years, and we've been to 3 World Series, 5 NLCSs, I told him I really felt we were still a failure and that we really had to step it up. And I do feel that way, that I mean, we have yet to really establish what we should.
You mentioned Shohei Ohtani, and because of the language barrier, even though he's been in Southern California for 7 years now, we really don't know him. Can you guys kind of just tell us what he's like to be around and give us an insight?
One, he's fantastic. No, he is the best kid, and he works his tail off. And that kid wants to win more than anything else. He wants to win. You know, a lot of people say, you know, winning is important to them, and they make their decisions that way. But the truth is that, you know, finance and all kinds of other variables come into things. Really, for Shohei, he wants to win. He wants to be a solid teammate. He supports everybody else. He pulls kids aside and tells them things he sees they're doing. He's an incredibly great...
Does he speak English more than he will in front of the press?
He has been working hard, and he's getting better. And I think, like maybe everybody who knows anything about a second language, you know, first thing you learn is to understand what other people are saying, and then it's a little longer before you're good at speaking.
But he's a private young man, you know, so
yeah.
His craft, his work speaks for him. First one to practice, last one to lead. You know, that's who he is. Mm-hmm. So here's the superstar, the best player in the world, putting in the work, putting in the time. And that's why I'm attracted to him, because I understand that so well, right? And to Mark's point, first of all, let's give Mark a lot of credit. See, people don't realize Mark had this plan like 2 years ago. Mark is a visionary. He doesn't think like today. He thinks outward, you know. And so Mark was like planning, I got to save this money so I can go after Shohei and try to convince him, if he became a free agent, to play for the Dodgers. And so I give all the credit to Mark, because he knew that we had to disappoint the fans and let some of the great players who had a great following within the Dodger fan base, we had to let them go. And Mark had to make crucial and big decisions. And he did that and put us in a position in case he did decide to leave the Angels, we would be sitting there ready. And so, again, it has to take strategy, a plan, and Mark had it and executed it to perfection. And I think our legacy, our history probably played into it. He saw that we were already a good team, and if he came in, it would even be better. And now, man, we got fans flying all the way from Japan. You might want to talk about how the interest around Asia, America, I mean, it's just been amazing.
Yeah, Japan has embraced us. It's blown me away. There are, first of all of our games are live in Japan, covered, which has never happened to us.
What time is that over there when they go up?
7 a.m.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But like when, I don't know if you know, a couple days ago, he took a couple days off, Shohei did, and Doc told me, he's like, I felt bad about that because, there's people waking up at 7 a.m. to see him play, and, once they get up, they're going to find out he's not playing today. But it's really been unbelievable, the sponsorships that have come in, the companies that have reached out to us, and we have 6 tour guides bringing Japanese tourists through the stadium every day. I mean, just nonstop.
How often do you talk about winning? Because I remember back at probably the first conference here, and I interviewed Coach Wooden. And Coach Wooden said he never once mentioned winning by name and that word to his team. So I'm wondering, is this something that you discussed over the course of your career? And he won 10 national titles and had undefeated seasons and so forth. But he said that was never the emphasis. The emphasis was on the process, which would bring the success. So I'm interested, you both have mentioned how important winning was to your career and how important winning is now for the Dodgers. How much was it a focus while you were playing?
Well, it was the focus, but we didn't have to talk about it. I mean, when you got somebody like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, you don't have to talk about it. We got to be about it. We got to practice, have a mindset of winning. See, it's all about your mindset and your attitude. And so we practiced hard. We took that over into the game, right? We never took a day off. We were just committed to each other. We were committed to the process and also to Pat Riley, our coach, his game plan each and every night. But no, when you got guys who won, like Kareem won every championship in high school, he won every championship in college. So you already knew who he was, right? James Worthy won a national championship. So the Lakers drafted winning guys who had a winning mentality. And so we didn't have to talk about it, we just had to be about it.
Do you do it with young kids now? I mean, you're involved in all of these sports, women's hockey, women's basketball, soccer team here, the Commanders now. Right. Do you talk to young people about that end result, winning?
No, about putting the time in and putting the work in. If you don't put the work in, you can never get to winning. You have to put the work in and have to work hard and have a winning attitude and mentality. And so that's what I talk to them about. And so I'm such a guy I love to win. I hate to lose deals. I hate to lose at cards. I hate to lose at everything. That's why people don't like to play cards with me, because I want to win at everything I do. My wife, Jim, tell me, my daughter was playing high school basketball, and she says, play your daughter one-on-one, it'll make her better. And I said, no, I know who I am. And those who are married out in the audience understand this oh so well. When your wife tell you do something twice, you better get to it, right? So we go to 10. I let her get to 9. That was hard for me to do. I wanted her to feel good about herself. And then I crushed her. My wife got so mad at me. You could have let her win. I said, I can't let nobody win. It's not in my makeup. It's not in my DNA. I'm not that dude. So,
Oh my goodness.
so when I talk to young players, I'm coming from real experience, right? That
I don't know why this makes me think of Kobe blocking Gigi shot. Same thing, huh?
Same thing. Same thing. The late great Kobe Bryant. Can we clap for the late great Kobe Bryant? You know, his greatness is still, I mean, his legacy is still felt today. What a young man. And when I think about the guys like him who I mentored, Shaq and Dwayne Wade and Grant Hill, to see those guys now owning teams and doing great things is really what it's all about for me. But again, Mark has been probably my greatest partner, because we just do so many great things, not just between the four walls, but outside of them. And to meet a guy that's just like you, who's a competitor, who wants to win in the worst way, and he really wants to win. You don't want to sit by Mark at our baseball game when somebody strikes out or something. Mark goes crazy. I said, I love that about you, Mark. I'm the same way. Can I tell him this story right quick? Okay. So we're sitting there, and the Dodgers had just clinched. And Eric, my partner, he knows this so well.
Eric's here.
So yeah, he's here somewhere.
There he is.
Stand up, Eric. Yeah, you'd be appreciated, man. So, Eric Holloman, my business partner. So everybody goes running on the field. You know, yeah, the Dodgers clinched. And I'm sitting down, and Eric looks at me, and I said, man, I don't know what they doing. We haven't won anything yet. I'm going home. Champagne being popped. I said, man, what are they doing? We haven't won the World Series. We just got into the playoff. We just won the first round. And so that said everything that needs to be said about me. I don't celebrate until we win the World Series and everything, you know. And so that's what I'm about.
Mark, what's the difference between winning in sports, where we see a title and a championship, and winning in business?
Not as much as you might think, really. When you all were talking about where winning comes from, I was thinking about the fact that, you know, we have 3 MVP winners on the team, Mookie, Freddie, and Shohei. And 5 hours before the game starts, so probably right about right now, the 3 of them are on the field at Dodger Stadium doing all the little drills you're supposed to do every day before a game. Now, all those other players, who are very talented players, because we try not to have any players without talent, see the fact that these guys have won. I mean, Shohei's won 3 MVPs, and he's out there doing all the drills that you're supposed to do before a game, and so are the other 2, which just sends the message that it's all about work, man. That if you don't do everything you can to be the best you can be, then, you know, the winning is because you didn't do it. And we feel like, you know, we do this in business all the time. You got to try to make sure your product's as good as it can be, that your service is as good as it can be, and that your performance in all aspects of taking care of those clients is it's the best it can be. And then if you win or lose, you know, you did everything you could.
So you're like the athletes that are tormented by perfection. In other words, they can win a game and they're still not happy. I've talked to a lot of athletes after a game, and they missed a shot, or they missed a putt, or they did something that's driving them nuts. And Tom Brady would always say to me, and football's a little different, you know, we're not trying to be perfect, we're just trying to win the game. But then you watch Tiger Woods play golf, and he may be up by 8 strokes, but this man's tormented while he's walking out there because his 5-iron is, you know, 10 yards off. So I'm wondering, in business, are you always looking for the imperfections and never quite satisfied?
Yes.
Please explain why.
Well, I think it's just, you know, when you know that the world is extremely competitive and that to succeed, you're going to have to do really, really well, because there are a lot of people who are good at their functions, their performance. So you know you have to do the best you can do. So you suffer through in your head, what can I do to get better at our weaknesses? What could I do to improve products or to innovate? And the fact that maybe you did you won, but you know there were a couple things you should have done better, given that you're not going to quit. You know you want to try to be better next time.
Well, he's won for us, even with the Dodgers. Everybody thought we were crazy when we paid what was the final number?
2.1.
2.1 billion for the Dodgers. They said we overpaid, and we did, but we wanted the team. But now the valuation just came out about $6 billion or so, and growing.
And we sold the media rights the same year we bought it for $3.5 billion.
That's right. So Mark knew what he was doing. So we got a great leader in Mark, and we still got 300 acres of land. I mean, what an incredible deal this was for us. And so, again, we just follow the leader.
I would be remiss if I don't ask you about the Lakers in our remaining time. You're Mr. Laker, you're Mr. Los Angeles.
You want me to have a headache up here?
Well, you're going to say it on Twitter, so why not say it to the folks here at the Milken? What's your assessment of where things are?
Don't get me to start saying some words I don't want to say. Well, I think, first of all, you have to learn from the Denver Nuggets, who beat us twice now, the defending champions. We're just not mentally and physically tough enough, right? I think we have two superstars, and LeBron is, right with Jordan as far as the greatest that's ever played, right? And we have Anthony Davis, who's a superstar, but we're not mentally and physically tough enough to beat them. So in return, we got to get better. We got to add, and let's give Alex some credit here. He's here, and his team is doing extremely well. They 2-0 up on the Denver Nuggets, the world champion. Alex Rodriguez, my friend, and so because they are mentally and physically probably tougher than Denver, that's why they're leading, and they're the best defense in basketball, always been all season long. And right now, not only are they the best defense in the playoff, but they're the best offense now in the playoff. The Lakers just, you got to get better. And so we can't just fire Coach Ham because, okay, you made that step, but now there's also 2 or 3 other steps you must take to get back to being one of the best teams. And then look at the league, too. It's better. It's so much better today. Minnesota, Oklahoma, young. They're going to be around for a long time. Victor, the young kid down in San Antonio, watch out next year for him, right? They're going to be better. And then, so you got Denver, you got all these teams in the West it's a stack. The West is stacked. And then, but also on the East is great too. I think these have been probably some of the best playoffs we've ever seen. There's so much new talent. Anthony Edwards is getting ready to take over this league. I mean, the man is just unbelievable. He has some of Kobe in him. He has some of Michael in him. He's a superstar. You got to watch him. He's exciting to watch. So the league is in great shape, but my Lakers have got to go to another level. This is going to be an important offseason for the Lakers.
This isn't an easy fix with the salary cap and the circumstance there.
No, it's not an easy fix, but it can be fixed. And so the Laker brand is still the biggest brand in the NBA. We're the worldwide brand. No matter where I travel in the world, no matter where Mark goes, and we travel a lot of places around.
And Mark's a co-owner, an associate owner of the Lakers, owns 27%.
Mark is doing his thing. Look, this dude here, he's the man. And so when you think about everywhere I go, somebody got a Laker shirt on. It's amazing, the brand. Now we got to make sure the play on the court catches up to our worldwide brand, and I hope that happens. And Jeannie Buss is an excellent owner. She's smart, and she knows what she's doing. So I think we'll get back there. We just got to make some moves this summer.
Do you miss not being in the mix and having a finger on it to fix it?
Let me see. I was hanging out with millionaires on the court. Now I'm hanging out with billionaires. No, I don't think so.
Well, let's talk about that, because that's really interesting. Player empowerment. Mark, you've seen this era come in, and you just paid a man $700 million. And it's not necessarily only in the salaries that you're paying, but the amount of power that they have and where they want to play, sometimes when they want to play, and just the whole texture has changed quite a bit. If you could speak to that and how you've handled the change.
Yeah, I actually think it's fabulous. I mean, I grew up in rural Iowa. My parents didn't go to school. You know, everybody around me just didn't go to college even. So, you know, I was used to, you know, being poor and happy. So then I just got in business and was competitive, and things worked out. But something you look at, like you mentioned, you know, the Billie Jean and I are really close. You know, Billie Jean really never made any significant money. You want to hear like heartbreaking stories about an athlete that I've translated to today. Billie Jean had to pay a certain amount of money to bring the Wimbledon plates into the United States, so she didn't bring all of them home because she couldn't afford it.
Wow.
Can you imagine being a Wimbledon champion and you can't afford to bring the trophy home? So, and she drives us a lot. I mean, Billie is a force of nature and smart, and she just wants the world to be a better place for everyone. If you ever say, you know, that she's there for women's rights, she will say, I'm here for everyone's rights. She corrects you every time. But to get to your exact question, that the players have, you know, a lot of them have a better financial base now, right? They don't, unless they're really foolish, you know, they have a place to start. So just to use one simple example, when Mookie came over, you know, Mookie's got a big contract. He's a smart guy. He wants to start businesses. And he pulled us aside and one of our other Eric and Don Thompson, Earvin and I, and said, I want to go after baseball to be a billionaire like you guys. And so he's like, I want you to work with my business people and teach us, you know, how to take what we have and to build it into something that lasts. And to give back. I mean, the guy is out doing charity work on his only day off during the season. You know, as you know, they only get like 10 days off all year.
I want to say something about Billie Jean King. I'm opening up a museum called the Hall of Excellence with Tom Brady in Las Vegas in a few months at the Fontainebleau Hotel. And Billie Jean King is giving us one of her trophies in her famous dress. Oh, wow. And so we'd like for everybody to come see that. And Magic Johnson is going to loan us one of his magical items as well. So Billie Jean King is somebody who legacy always needs to be honored and uplifted, because she's made the world a better place for everyone, not just women.
No question about it.
Final thoughts here. When you think, Magic, of yourself and the legacy and what you've meant to this community and what you've done around the world, is that something that drives you, what people will think of you when you're gone? Or how do you approach, so many people are so concerned about what their legacy is? Is that a statue outside of Staples? Is that how you made people feel? I did an interview with President Mandela, and he said something I never forgot. It was written by Maya Angelou for his speech on Reconstruction. He said, people will forget what you say and people will forget what you do, but no one will ever forget the way you make them feel. Every time I'm in your presence, I feel better about myself and better about you. I think that's your legacy, but I'm wondering how you interpret yourself.
You know, I think it's still the impact, right? We've been so blessed, Cookie and I, to send over 10,000 minority students to college. And I want to, I think that's the impact, right? And so teaming up with Eric and the work that we do and making sure that we include minorities and the minority spin that we do when we're doing business, right? We have deals with JLC, and we spent $800 million with women and minority-owned firms with LaGuardia Airport. And then we're going to spend about $1.5 billion with minority and women-owned firms with JFK. And so that's the impact, right? Mark, I wish I had another hour just to talk about the opportunities that he's given so many women.
People here are glad you don't have another hour to talk about me.
Because he's done so much good, but he's never going to talk about it. And so that's what I want. I want to leave that legacy. I'm not concerned about what people think about me or what they say and all that. I don't have time for that. My thing is to go out here and do good things, empower people, empower communities, especially communities that are poor. With the technology centers that we built, we want to make sure that everybody can have access to quality health care.
And you know, he's not only good to people, he's good to animals. Tell everybody what he does in Chicago for all those animals. That's unbelievable.
No, I'm going to let him tell you.
You tell us, Mark.
Go, Mark, and Florida.
Sorry? I didn't hear.
All the animals.
The animals, what you're doing, that's beautiful.
Yeah, I got lucky enough to go to Africa 30-some years ago, and I'm from rural America, and you're in rural America, you're outside a lot, and kind of in the woods and things, and you go to Africa, and there's just crazy how beautiful it is, and the animals are really special. And about 15 years ago, poaching really started to become crazy bad, and there was always pressure on the amount of land there was because of the growth of population, that's all fine, right? You can't begrudge humans, but the poaching was bad. So anyway, we took over a bunch of large places where the lions were getting slaughtered and where the rhinos were getting slaughtered, and I just felt like if we could, there are 7 big populations of rhinos left, and we're guarding 3 of them. And wow. It just feels like it'd be nice for lots of kids generations from now, when we get smart enough to know we don't care about, rhino horn as an aphrodisiac or something else, that they'll be there for them to see too.
Magic, Mark, thank you both for taking the time. It's an honor to speak to you both. Appreciate it. Go ahead and finish up.
No, I wanted to thank Michael Milken because we've done some great things in D.C. I know Mark is, doing great things with him too, to impact health. And I love Michael. He's putting his money where his heart is to make a difference. And so I don't know where he is, but just thank you to him because he's technology-wise, medicine-wise, he's coming up with so many great things to bring about change and to help people live a great life. So, Michael, thank you, my brother. Just wanted to say thank you to Michael Milken.
Nobody in the world like Mike Milken. Thank you both. This was an honor. Appreciate it.